Okay, so you can see that I finished all my watercolour washes throughout the piece. A little bit loose and messy, but looking nice and bright and colourful. And I haven't covered all of the area, so I'm now just thinking to finish off. I don't think my title stands out very well, so I was wondering whether to add maybe a bit of pen. I've got some Sharpies. I think the black Sharpie might be a bit too heavy for it, so I might use a bit of this nice blue, and rather than have that lettering in my biro, I might just go over and have that lettering in some blue, or just put some little hints of it in. Now I have tried to get my paper as dry as possible, but it's still a little bit damp in places, so just need to be careful. And I could fill the lettering in, or I could just put some patterns in it instead, so I could block it or have some little lines through it. Any patterns you want. Maybe block it at the top and then have it coming down to some little hatching marks at the bottom. I think that works quite well. So block at the top, go around the outline, and then hatching marks. And if you're bold and brave with your lettering, it doesn't have to all be super duper neat. Don't spend too long worrying about it. Just make it nice and bold. The Sharpies are quite thick pens unless you've got a really fine set, so don't go overboard with your Sharpies. Obviously if you've done the whole thing in Sharpie, then that's a bit different, but with the watercolour you don't want too many heavy lines, really wide chunky lines. But I think this is, with using the blue and just going blocky at the top, and then some hatch lines, I think is enough to make it stand out without it being too much. Bit of hatching. So just going around each letter really super quickly, and then a bit of hatching. So we just get some hints of the background colours at the bottom. I think that works quite nicely. Rather than blocking the whole thing. But obviously if you wanted to, you could nice and carefully block out absolutely everything. But I think you'd have to work a bit more carefully than I am at the minute. Blocking. Got no colour in that background bit at all, but never mind. I think this gives you a nice sketchy kind of effect. And then just have a look after that as to whether there's any other little details you want to add. Obviously this is one of those pieces of work that you could spend a long time. I think I could fiddle and work into this for another hour at least before I thought I would be done. But I've got to work quickly because you haven't got much time. So I might just go over a few of my other feather lines just really quickly, especially some of those spirals that I want to stand out. And if you can see how bold and brave I'm being with my pen, just got to go for it. I think this makes the feather, some of the elements of the feather stand out. Don't go around everything, but bring in some of these out a little bit more and maybe extending some of your lines can just make your work flow just that little bit more, I think. Especially where I'm near that collage area. Just make the collage stand out a bit more. And then I could add in some more of these patterns and maybe a few more of these spirals. Just little hints. And then might just add into a little bit of the laces so the laces aren't the same colour as the boots, even though I have done some tone and shading in there. Just some little sketchy hints as well, I think it's quite nice. And then maybe a bit of hatching and a bit of shadow underneath the boots there, so they're sitting down nicely. And then I might just add, because I don't think I've got quite as dark a blue as I wanted into the bird, a little bit of hatching. If you keep your lines quite loose and sketchy, especially if you're doing a bird, if you want something with nice movement to it, having several lines can be quite nice. And then I'm going to stick with the blue even when I'm doing the hints into the flowers. Just a few. If I had some more time, I might add some white highlights. And I think that probably do. So, got the boots at the bottom, and you'll see some photographs of it in the PowerPoint when you have a look at the finished piece. And that's my whole piece finished.